Today I'm going to show you how I decorated this graduation bento box. Come join me. So I started a few days in advance decorating the toppers for the cupcakes. This is going to be 5 cupcakes and a small vintage heart cake. So the colors are going to be blue, white, and gold. So I made 2 of these blue colored toppers, which I will put some decorations on top of those momentarily. Here I am cutting out some 2025 numbers and also the class of letters. I'm also going to be doing some blue class of 2025 letters and numbers. I'm not quite sure when I'm doing these what I'm going to be using them for just yet, but I wanted to have them on hand for whatever I decided to use them for. After finished with the blue, I moved on to making some white circles. This one is going to say congratulations grad, or congrats grad. I knew that I wanted to do this one in white, and then I'm going to paint the congrats grad in gold. So I'm doing this one a while, prepping it, and then I'll let this dry to harden. I'm also making an additional white one because I'm going to be putting the graduate's name in gold paint on, edible paint on this other one. And again, as I mentioned, I'm going to be creating some white class of 2025 letters and numbers. A few days later, I went back. This is now hardened, so now I'm painting that congrats grad in gold luster dust, made into a gold paint using some vodka, and I'm just painting that into the embossed letters that I made earlier in the video. This is a very slow process, but it certainly looks beautiful once it's done. After I was finished with that one, it was set aside to dry. For this one, this is the graduate's name, and this is using a stencil that was made on a Cricut. I put some of this gold paint onto a sponge, and I'm just dabbing it enough so that I can see the outline of the name, and then I'm going to paint over it to darken it. I did not want to dab over it heavily because I did not want to blur the name or so that it would smudge. So I really wanted to paint this on so that it was a nice crisp version of her name on this topper. And then I went back and I painted the outside edge of this topper, just to add something different and interesting to the bento box. Here I am going back on one of the white toppers, and I'm adding some of those blue numbers to write 2025 on this topper. So I'm just using some piping gel and fixing those onto that topper. Here I am using another embossed tool. This one says the tassel was worth the hassle, and I just used that to push that embossed tool into this blue topper, and again I'm painting it with that gold paint. And this one was even more tedious because the letters were super tiny, but again I think they're really beautiful, so certainly worth it. And now I'm going back and I'm painting some of those blue letters in gold. I'm going to add a gold 2025 to this blue topper. And here's what they all look like. Now I ended up only using 4 of these. I wanted to make sure that I had an array of things that I could choose from. So now moving on to decorating the small 4-inch heart cake that's going to go along with those cupcakes. So here I am just stacking the cake, and I'm going to do the crumb coat in white icing. I'm just smoothing that out so that when I go and put the other coat on, it's already nice and smooth. After it was smooth, I went on to add the top coat, which is going to be blue, which of course matches those toppers that I was just working with. And I'm going to smooth that out so that I have a crisp surface to work with. Here I am just kind of squaring off the top of that cake so that my edges are squared off. So now I'm putting some bottom borders. I have 3 layers of border, and I'm adding my class of 2025 in white on the top of the cake. And then I'm going to move forward with putting a border around the top of the cake. I want to make sure it's not too thick because I want to make sure that the class of 2025 is very visible. I'm adding some ruffles around the sides of the cake. And here's where I'm actually adding that top border. I'm adding a star tip ruffle along the side of the cake as well. With these vintage heart cakes, they're really just all about the elaborate icing. So just adding some extra embellishments on the side and going back in with some nice big gold balls to further embellish the cake. Adding some gold beads to the top of the cake, and I'm also going to do that along the bottom of the cake as well. And the last thing, I'm just adding some dot clusters around the cake also. And the final thing is I'm adding these toppers onto the cupcakes. Again, as I mentioned, there's 5 of them. One of them I used from the Elegance collection. And this is what the cake looked like at the top once it was finished. And you'll see a spin of the cake. And then lastly, this is what the entire bento box looked like in its full form. So if you enjoyed watching this, I encourage you to like, comment, share, and come join me again. I would love if you'd subscribe to my channel. Thank you and come again.